Hello, beautiful people. Today I'm talking about enlightenment. What is it? How do we get there? Who's already there? And do broken lives still receive enlightenment? So, kind of going into demystifying enlightenment today. I so appreciate you watching this and being here with me. We are diving deep, remembering our greatness together, and raising our vibration. So be sure to subscribe, like, and click that bell. So let's dive in. What do you know about enlightenment? I feel like it's like this thing that we put up on this pedestal, enlightenment. Oh, an enlightened being, an enlightened master. And yes, there are people that have come to this planet like that really have served us so well with their enlightenment at a broader scale, like Buddha, Jesus, Mother Teresa, right? A living enlightened being would be like Eckhart Tolle, and look at the work he's doing. But I want to propose something here. I want to propose the idea of each one of us having an enlightened part of ourselves, that God spark, right? That authentic self is an enlightened being. Just watched something with Marianne Williamson, and she talked about the greatest example of an enlightened being is an infant, and just seeing their joy and their ecstasy. They just have this non-judgmental way about being in their bodies, right? They have these little Buddha bellies. They walk around with their finger in their belly button, and they're just like these happy Buddhas. And so all of us have been infants, that's for sure. We can all agree about that, right? So we've all had these moments where we have just remembered who we were. And really, what if that is all enlightenment is? It's just like the flashlight is on and we are like, oh yeah, I see the light now. I remember and I can sense and I know my lightest being. I know my authentic self. What if that's all enlightenment was? So the title of today's video is Enlightenment in Broken Lives. If we take a look back in history of enlightened beings, they didn't really have the most cush lives, right? They weren't manifesting billions of dollars and things like that. If we take a look at today, what we see as enlightened beings, a lot of like the Dalai Lama or certain gurus that have these beautiful ashrams. We tend to associate them with something that's, greater than us, or that has this, plush life. But really, you can be enlightened in any life. The way I see it is like we come to this life being kind of an actor in a role. And when the curtains close, we've ended this role and we leave our bodies. Now, enlightened beings come into these bodies and play these roles, right? They play the role of alcoholic. They play the role of mother, father. They play the role of, fireman. They play the role. I mean, like you could really play any role you want. And it's like when you agree to come down as a soul, and if you have ascended and you are like, I think I want to come down anyway to be a helper or a teacher. People take roles that you wouldn't necessarily think as a teacher. I mean, look at Jesus. He was born to a carpenter. He walked barefoot with a cloak on, not really associated with any, higher up or esteemed area, right, of his life, people and stuff like that. So he's just like, we all have this enlightened part of ourselves. And it's really not gaining knowledge out here to be enlightened. It's actually just, it's this unblanketing. That's how I see it. This unblanketing and remembering. It's almost like going through a big chest of things, going like this, and then you find it at the bottom. There it is. It was there all along. How did I miss it? And you're looking at this, little marble that you've been looking for your whole life. And that little marble is that authentic self, right? Is that God spark of you. And this whole channel is about expanding that God spark. It's about expanding the enlightened self. You know, I love the story of my dad. My dad is not recently, he passed 5 years ago. He passed, and I swear this enlightenment was just so beautiful when he passed. And the legacy of his dying process was so, so beautiful and such a gift. But he had a broken life. He was very depressed and anxious. He very much cared about what people were thinking of him, and not being worthy enough and not being good enough. And he was an alcoholic. And he suffered with this for years. He'd go into AA, he'd get sober, and then he'd fall off the wagon and hate himself and get arrested, or just all this stuff. And he finally got cancer in his early 60s. I think at 60, actually. He got cancer, lung cancer, and lungs are associated with grief. He held a lot of grief, not only his own, but for the collective. And it went to his lungs and then went through the rest of his body. He had 4th stage small cell lung cancer. And this is a man that from the outside, you would say he had a very broken life. Like, what could possibly be going right for him? But as his daughter, I worshiped him. I cherished him. I adored him. I loved being with my dad. And yes, he was really a fun guy. He loved to dance, and he was funny, and he was just kind of a fun person to be around if he wasn't drunk. He wasn't that fun when he was drunk. But I remember the biggest thing I got out of our spending time together was just being with him, his beingness. I sensed his God spark. I just sensed his light so fully, and I just wanted to be with him all the time. So it was very devastating to me when my parents got divorced at 12, because he was not in the house that much anymore, and I didn't get to see him that much. So I was, pretty devastated, because there was something in him that when I was around him reminded me of my own God spark. Even in all his brokenness, quote, brokenness. And so in his 60s, he came to live with me, chemotherapy, radiation. We were draining his lungs. I was giving him Neupogen shots. And here was my guy. Here was my remembrance of my light. And he was dying. And it was really hard at first, but he was a miracle. He lived 4 years after that diagnosis, which is unheard of. But during those 4 years, he became sober. He became an advocate, a sponsor in AA. He volunteered. He held beautiful spiritual and personal boundaries. He made amends to everyone he had kind of been a stinker to. And by the time he died, he had said to me, "I'm really excited, Beck. I'm really excited to go sail around the universe and find out more of its mysteries." And I remember just sitting next to his side and be like, "Come back and tell me about it." And he does, but not in the way that you would think. It's not like a channel. It's not like his voice coming to me. It's his beingness, his God spark, I feel like has merged with mine, because we all really are one. So it was it's been a beautiful experience. But on his hospice bed, hospice can last usually a long time. My sister, I have a twin, and we both were doing energy work with him while he was kind of unconscious. And he transitioned within 24 hours, which was, the nurse was like, "This is really unheard of. He's going really fast." And that's the way he wanted it. But he became his enlightened self in those past few years, that he was already, yet he really realized it himself, and he really remembered. And his broken life helped him at the end of his life really open up fully to that enlightenment. And it was beautiful to witness. And I've never been the same since. It took a good year to get over the waves of grief that came through. But now we've switched our relationship, and I can really feel his beingness. And every once in a while I hear his voice. And sometimes when I'm doing healing work, he'll come in to help along. But most of the time lately, it's more like we are just one. And I know he's there with me. As the oneness, as his God spark. So it's really, really amazing. So enlightenment. Do you fully accept that you are enlightened, you are an enlightened being? That you have that God spark, that authentic self. That authentic self is your enlightened beingness. And now all we have to do is remember it, find it, let it shine. So we may affect the masses, or we may affect one person, and it all is one and the same, because that unity consciousness makes all of us have the gift of it. Isn't that cool? So there's so many charismatic people, and there's so many people that have this role in this life to really connect with large amounts of people, like, Eckhart Tolle and Oprah, and there's a lot of people that have this wide scale of audience, right? And just because your audience is smaller, maybe just your family, maybe your smaller friend community, maybe it's the people you perform to with your music, maybe it's a podcast, maybe it's maybe you visit people at a nursing home, maybe it's just your people you work with in a real estate business. Whatever it is, it's never too small. Because what if your audience is bigger than actually you think? And so someone said this to me recently. So it was just like, I led a meditation the other day. And I was like, yeah, I'm growing my YouTube channel. It's at 360 or something, I think it was at the time. And she's like, you know what, Rebecca, your audience is way bigger. And this is a woman that channels Archangel Michael. She's like, you know what? Your audience is way bigger than that. Never underestimate the souls that you are connecting with that aren't in this reality, that don't have a physical like button. So shine your light, people. You are an enlightened being within, with that authentic self. And so shine that light. Be that light. Remember. Get out of that mind that says that only enlightened beings are on the pedestal. And do the work to remember, because that's the personal practice. To uncover, to find it in the big chest, to find it, cultivate it, be it, grow it fully, and shine it. And so the cool part about this is that realization that we can be that authentic self, be that enlightened being that we are. The cool part about it is that we get to share it. We get to be the effect of it. We get to let it guide us. So we can take that Nestle's plunge into the ocean and trust. Now, I used to be a confidence coach, confidence voice coach, and I don't do that as much anymore because true confidence actually really comes from surrendering to our authentic self, to surrendering to source energy as our guide. And it's really cool when you go past psychological confidence and go into just a severe trust and knowing, because you are one with source, you're one with your authentic self, you're one with your ascended self. All of it's in this concentric circle model, all in itself. And you are all of it at the same time. Isn't that cool? So let's get out there and shine our light. Now I have a song I wanted to share with you. This is called Free. I wrote this song back in 2014, and I just want to share with you this one verse and chorus, because it's really kind of speaks to us to some of the things that start to cloud us up, that cloud over our authentic self. And so this is about letting go of the mind, letting go of those thoughts that don't serve our limited mind, our argument for our limitations. It's about lifting that off so that that enlightened self can come out, regardless of what we're living, what brokenness, quote, we are living, doesn't matter. You know, a lot of enlightened beings, you know, have very, very simple lives. And what we would say is broken or, you know, impoverished. Like, and the reason is like when you're enlightened too, like your peace comes first, and we can cultivate that into a physical reality that we desire, and we can manifest those things. But a lot of times those things aren't important, and we just trust, I'm always taken care of. I'm always taken care of. All right, beautiful people, I want to leave you with this song. My thoughts have taken so much of my space. I can't look in the mirror at my unfamiliar face. Too many years have been heavy to me. I could use some room to breathe. What would it take to play again, where the good times they never come to an end? Bliss is me instead of a great escape. My eyes wide open and awake. I'm letting go, flying through the sky with a brand new wings and a heart that sings. I'm going out of my mind, erasing all the lines. There's a whole lot of me that wants to be free. There's a whole lot of you that wants to be free. And that is your authentic self, your God spark, your enlightened self. Your thoughts have taken up so much of your space. It's that heaviness. There's some heavy blankets on all that. The work is to lift up the blanket, take a look, thank you for the information, let it go, right? What would it take to play again, to be like the children, to be like the infant self, where the good times never end? You don't have to reach for alcohol. You don't have to reach for any distraction to find that bliss. It's right here. Bliss is me instead of that great escape. So eyes wide open and awake. Go forth, shine your light. And when you do, and you make your light and your enlightened self the focus, you get to see that in others. So wouldn't it be cool if we went around and didn't judge the lives and the brokenness, or the esteemedness, or how wealthy or unwealthy or healthy, or we didn't judge any of that, but we went in and we just saw the light in people. We just saw their authentic God spark. Wouldn't that be cool? Let's go try it today. All right, beautiful people, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Be sure to subscribe, like, and click the bell. And I would love to hear in the comments how this landed for you. And by taking the focus to seeing someone's God spark and seeing them as an enlightened being, that everyone has this enlightened part, and that they have a wisdom for you. They have a seed of wisdom. And so I would love to hear how this goes for you, how just that switch in perspective helps you to relate to people and receive from people. I'm going to try it too today. I'm going up to the mountains with my family. I'm going to try it with them. All right, beautiful people. Namaste.